All right, this Hangout on Air is live. Hello everyone, and welcome to Moving Projects, where our goal is to help you move your creative projects forward by learning from fellow creators. I'm Nate Mancini, and today I'm at the Crust Cakery with Julie McOrmond. Now, Julie is a very special guest that we have today, and she is head designer and owner here at the Crust Cakery, and she's here to tell us a little bit about her profession, the things that she does, and how she got here today. So I think, just to tee this up a little bit, cakes might seem like a far cry from some of the other things we've done, like graphic design and music production and that kind of thing. But the reality is that all of these things are creative professions, and they're things that we all might have as hobbies, these kind of creative artistic hobbies that we're looking for ways we can expand them and other ways we can do them, maybe even as a career. And Julie's taken this very creative hobby and turned it into a very successful business. So I think it's kind of an exciting thing to talk about here, this art of cake design. So tell us a little bit about what you do at Upper Crust today.
Well, I would consider myself owner and wedding coordinator. We do a lot of custom work here. We will work with each individual client on wedding projects or really any occasion, birthdays and anniversaries. We'll do baby shower, we'll put together cakes, of course, as you can see a little bit in the background. We'll do tiered cakes and just normal like birthday cakes, but we tailor each of them to the exact design and colors that the client is looking for. So if they're matching a certain theme, or they'll bring us a party napkin and we'll match it to that, or sometimes they're not sure, so we'll consult with them on what might be a good fit.
So it's very, like, you call it custom desserts, very customized.
Right.
And you would say it's kind of on the higher end of the dessert spectrum?
Yes, I would say so. We do a lot of, since it's custom stuff, people come and order ahead of time. So it's not like they can walk in and purchase cupcakes, but mostly we work with them on an individual basis. And it has a ton of creative and like artistry to each of the creations that we make, because we want it to reflect the quality of their special event, especially if it's for a wedding, but even for a birthday or an anniversary that just comes once a year.
Right. That's really neat. So, I think a lot of our audience is thinking about ways that they can take their creative hobby and make it into a career, maybe make a living doing it. Tell us a little bit about how you took this hobby, this skill that you had, and then built it into this career and a business.
Sure. Well, the bakery and sort of the creativity that's involved has always been a part of my makeup since I was a little kid. But I would say it's definitely been a step-by-step process where I didn't put together a business plan and, have a line of credit and figure out where to jump out the gate and start a huge bakery just kind of out of the blue. It was very much a slow step-by-step process, starting from part-time and kind of small with family and friends, and then bringing it up to more of a full-time position, and then eventually having it serve just a larger population of people.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what's the whole process for a cake to go from kind of concept to completion? I mean, how much of that do you do? How much of that does the client do? How does that all come about? What are the steps?
Sure, that's a great question. I would say a lot of our clients will make up a Pinterest board of, say, for their wedding. They'll pull some different elements that they want to bring into the cake design, or they might bring us a magazine photo, or even like a party invitation or a napkin, or they'll look on our website or our Facebook page and pick some photos that they like of previous work that we've done, and then they'll bring it to us and kind of say, I like this with this picture, and this is the feel of the event. And we'll kind of talk with people really on an individual basis to get the general vibe of what their event is, and then have the cake reflect that, or the cupcakes or the cookies, whatever the dessert might be, so that it kind of ties everything all together. And we're glad to work with people that have very specific requests, and sometimes they'll even draw us a little sketch, or if they have no idea, we'll try to help guide them and provide some suggestions, and we'll draw them a sketch if they need one, or just kind of go over some photos that we think might fit what they're looking for.
Yeah. So, and then on your end, you have a few employees, right?
Yes.
So what's your all's process for working together and getting these projects done?
So after we consult with the client, whether it's on the phone or by email or they'll come into the bakery, we will put together an order slip basically that contains all of the information about what they're looking for and all of the sizes and line work. And then it's definitely a team effort here. There's a lot of wonderful staff that I have. So we will start off the order that we've compiled and give it to the bakers to make whatever size cake and whatever flavor, and make sure the icing is ready to go. And then once that's finished, the cake prepper will take the layers and the different fillings and icings, and she'll put them all together and kind of just do a basic setup with the cake and crumb coat it. And then usually in advance, I take a look at the design that we're doing as well, and I'll pull out different elements that we need to do ahead of time that might need to have sugar pieces that are drying, or things that we might need to order, or just kind of get a feel for what needs to be prepared before we go to actually decorate the cake. And then once we are ready, when we have all those pieces together, we'll take the prepared cake that's just crumb coated, we'll bring it out of the cooler and have the slip in front of us that tells every detail that we need to know about what to put on the cake, and we'll work together to finish it. And then once we're completed, we kind of just look over the order to make sure that it has every detail that's needed, and we'll photograph it and then have it be ready to go in the box for the customer to pick up.
So how long does that finishing process take?
Sure.
Once you've got the cake there in front of you.
Yeah, that's a very common question, and I've thought a lot about sort of the general time frames that we need to finish a cake. I would say here at Upper Crust, we probably spend maybe 5 to 8 hours on an average wedding cake, and maybe 1 to 3 hours on a sort of all occasion birthday or anniversary or graduation cake, that kind of thing. It depends how much work is involved. If it has a lot of advanced work, it will take some additional time. Or if it's more simple and it has all buttercream designs, we can just pipe that right on the cake and it doesn't need a lot of advanced preparation at all.
Right. So is it more like the sugar figurines and that kind of thing that takes a lot of the extra time?
So I have a sculptor who's my decorating assistant. Her name is Rebecca, and she does a lot of the advanced work. Like, we've been getting a lot of requests for Frozen, of course, since that's a popular theme, and especially with the little girls, they love the princess feel.
Elsa.
Yeah, exactly.
Olaf.
Yes, even the little boys will ask for an Olaf cake. So Rebecca, when she has extra time, or if we specifically have requests that we're doing Frozen cakes for the weekend, she'll come in a few days ahead, and I'll give her a list of how many figures and what sizes, depending on the cake, or if it's for a cupcake for a little kid, as to make a topper for it. And she'll make all that in advance, and then it will be dry. It will dry overnight for a day or two, or whatever we need. And then it will just be really just a dried sugar decoration, and we'll put that on at the end on top of a buttercream cake, that has piped buttercream snowflakes and sugar crystals.
That's awesome. Those Frozen cakes are awesome.
Those are pretty
I
cool.
like the Olaf figures.
Yeah.
So, it seems like this is very, it is very, I think, to kind of bring these cakes together. Do you feel like it's really, you kind of plan a lot from the beginning and execute, or do you feel like there's a lot of kind of trial and error as you go, like, this looks good, this doesn't look good?
That's a good
question. Is it kind of front-end planning, or is it just kind of?
I would say it might be half and half. Like, we go into the actual cake decoration with a general feel and vision of what we're doing. Yeah. But then again, while I'm sitting there looking at the cake, especially if we have some creative freedom from the client, we'll kind of try something and just kind of envision, like, ooh, this might look good if it had a lace panel on the bottom, and then we'll bring in a 3D effect on the top with roses or figures. And so sometimes we have it planned out right to the nitty-gritty details, but other times, if we have the extra creative freedom, we'll just kind of go at it, almost like a painting, that you can just feel it out and try something different. Sometimes we'll try something and be like, ooh, not sure about that. We'll scrape it off and start over if we need to, or we'll make a practice version. Yeah, we'll do that, and then we can test it out before we put it on an actual cake or a cupcake, so that we don't mess it up.
That's neat. So, and actually, you can scroll down on the NateMancini.com blog entry and see a few examples of some of Julie's cakes. Some of them are very intricate. It's pretty impressive, like the football field and the basketball court and stuff like that. And, Mike and Sully.
Oh yeah, that was a recent one. That was fun.
All of Sully's fur and very
intricate. Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. Also, for those of you who are joining us, Julie's willing to answer audience questions as well. So if you scroll to the bottom of the blog entry and add in your question as a comment, I'll ask it to Julie and she will answer it. So we have an audience question from Lauren. Lauren asks, which do you find your creativity most? Decorating cakes, coming up with new flavor combinations, or experimenting with new recipes altogether?
That's a great question. Thanks, Lauren. I think I enjoy all of those things, but probably the one that brings me the most fulfillment is the actual execution of the cake design, whatever we're working on. I enjoy putting together recipes and things. A lot of times it's a little bit backwards sounding, but with new cupcake flavors, we will find a photo online of some flavor combination that we like the sound of, and then we'll tweak our own recipes to fulfill whatever that flavor combination is. Right. So we like to do that too. Sometimes that takes a little bit of time, so we kind of stick with our traditional things as well. I think I enjoy the creative process of putting the cake together and having all the elements just go with the theme that the client is looking for. That's probably my favorite part.
Yeah. So, somewhat related question. We have a question from Mike, Julie's dad. Did you get your baking skills from your father?
Well, probably not, seeing as he has only ever cooked a hot dog, but there's always room for improvement. However, even though my dad has not necessarily demonstrated a lot of baking prowess, he has definitely supported me in a lot of ways. In particular, when I was in high school, when I sold bread at the Fairport Farmers Market every Saturday, he would drive me because I didn't have my license at first, and he would help me get set up and kind of deal with the customers if I needed an extra hand. So he's maybe not quite as talented in the execution kitchen department, but definitely in the customer service and excellence department. So that was a helpful example.
We all have our gifts.
Yes.
And we'll use them. So what is the process like working with clients? You talked a bit about how they'll come to you with sketches and ideas and how you'll kind of bring them to reality. What is the relationship process like with clients? Do you find that most people are very considerate and just interested in what you want to do, or are people kind of hard-lined on what they want? Are people usually like pleasantly surprised with what they get, or are they kind of like all over the place? How does that whole part of the business work?
We try to communicate with each client so that we are both on the same page, and they get the actual product and the vision that they're looking for. We want them to be satisfied at the very least and thrilled at the very best. Yeah. Sometimes we joke that we wish we had like a secret video camera for when people come in and they're super excited about the cake, how it turned out. We've had a lot of reactions. We've had tears of joy, jumping up and down, general exclamations of happiness, and it's always really a thrill to see that kind of reaction, because that means we hit our vision right on the head. We provided something that they're really excited to serve to their guests and have at their party, and it really is a reflection of them, what they're celebrating, and we like to help them with that. Yeah. I would say most of the time people are very open, at least our clients are very open to creative input. Sometimes they don't know what they're looking for, so we'll ask them about the event and what they're what they're celebrating and what they might be interested in, or if they have a certain color palette, or if it's with weddings in particular, is it very relaxed and more casual, and we'll try to reflect their general style in the cake decoration, right, so it ties in. So most of the time our clients are super happy if we can give them suggestions. A lot of times they will just give us a few keywords and say, even like with the Frozen thing, or with some of the weddings, they'll say it's a rustic theme, or we're having, centering around this movie character or this specific TV show character for the little kids, and we'll just kind of go from there.
We'll just take it.
They don't,
with it.
yeah, they don't mind what we do.
Yeah.
They're happy, if it just has a certain figure on it, and we build the rest of the cake around it, and they're satisfied. So I think I enjoy that the most, when they are willing to give us some creative freedom and not have to nail down every single detail of the cake ahead of time.
Yeah, that's really cool. So as a reminder, if you want to ask a question to Julie, she will answer it here on the webcast. You can just scroll down the blog entry, leave a comment with your question, and you can learn all about the art of cake design. So we have another audience question from Megan. How did you come up with your typical or base recipes? Did you come up with recipes through trial and error, or did you use someone else's recipe, adapt it? How did this come about?
That's a really good question. Thanks, Megan. I would say both of those things that you mentioned. We, growing up in a large and hungry family of 9, we had a lot of opportunity to try out different things in the kitchen, and really even a lot of the recipes we had from our grandparents. My grandma really is a wonderful cook and baker, so she passed a lot of her things on to us just in our family traditions. So we took those recipes, and that's what we still use even now to provide for our clients. One in particular is the pumpkin spice cake. So we'll do that for sort of fall and late summer weddings, or any occasion really, and that's kind of fun because it's part of our family heritage, but it's such a good recipe that we're happy to share it with clients.
Yeah.
And then other things, we sort of started off with a basic recipe we might have found in just a general cookbook, and kind of tweaked it to what we want it to be. Maybe start with just the basic recipe of, say, a vanilla cake, and then if we want to add a different flavoring, we'll put a little bit of almond extract or flavoring, whatever the actual ingredient might vary. But we'll kind of change it in order to have the appropriate flavor that we want. We'll do lots of tests. We've had lots of experimentation. Sometimes it goes great, and sometimes it's not so great. Then we start over and keep going.
See how the taste test comes out.
Right, the taste test, and we're like, oh, well, no, this is terrible.
Adjust
Or we're like, yes, this is, yeah, pretty much. It's a little bit trial and error with new recipes in particular.
Yeah. So what do you think have been some of your most ambitious decorating projects? Are there any that either clients have requested or you've decided to make it ambitious from what they've said, and anything that's been like daunting or crazy that's just really stretched you beyond what you've done before?
Several things come to mind. I think when I was in my earlier years, I remember that there was an online contest, and the prize for the contest was something like going to the cake decorating school. So I thought, oh, well, I might have a shot. Sure, I'll make a castle cake. That was the contest. And so I planned out what I was doing, and I tried some new techniques, and they didn't turn out quite as well as I'd hoped, but the project itself took so long. By the time I was done, I think I was relatively happy with how it looked, but I was so tired of it that I took the picture and got the shot that I needed, and then I took the whole cake out and threw it on the driveway and made it into a giant mess.
Oh, no.
And it felt so good. And I did not win, but that's okay. And then
you tried.
Yeah, we tried. That was I learned something from that. Maybe a little bit too ambitious of a project at the time. And then another, let me see, a past project, it was probably last year. I had a client that wanted a very large tiered cake, but she didn't need every tier to be real because she didn't need 500 servings of cake. She probably needed, for her wedding, she probably needed maybe 200.
Just more for the look of it.
Yeah, so it's for the look of it. So she just wanted it to be super tall and very impressive and grandiose, and kind of make a really big statement when people came into the room. So for her cake, we don't often do this, but we did involve some cake dummies, which really are just styrofoam rounds that are the same size and height of a real cake. And we just frost them as if it was a real cake. So for her, I think maybe we did the bottom tiers with dummy cakes. But by the time we built the whole thing, we had to do it in pieces and build it on site. I think we had 13 tiers, and it was so tall that I didn't bring a ladder. I probably should have, but I had to stand on a chair to put the last top tier on the cake. And I was really happy with how it turned out, and I think that the clients were pleased.
Yeah.
And I left, and I was very happy that I did not have to unassemble and slice the cake.
Yeah, and
because of the height.
And to transport it too. Like,
pieces. A lot of times, even like with cakes like in the background here, they're all stacked up. But her cake, we couldn't transport that many tiers stacked, ready to go. So we had to do like a few, the base ones were stacked, and then bring all the other ones separate and stack them up on site in order to have it be a solid constructed piece and not at any risk for toppling.
It's very ambitious.
That was pretty crazy, yeah.
It's like transporting a column.
Yeah, yeah.
So again, anybody who's just joining us, we're talking to Julie about the art of cake design and decoration. And if you want to leave a comment, a question for Julie, she'll answer it right here on the webcast. So we have an audience question, another one from Lauren. What is it like being around sweet things all day, most days? How do you manage to stay fit and not overindulge? How do you motivate yourself to make healthy things when it comes to meal times?
That is tricky.
Or maybe that's like natural to make healthy things
No.
after making cakes.
No. We were just talking today in the kitchen with all the girls at lunchtime, all the staff. We were saying, well, a lot of times people think since we're around sugar and sweet treats that we would get sick of it. And we were all like, no, we're not sick of it. We love the sweet treats. It's definitely a temptation. I think with having a lot of wonderful staff, we do keep each other accountable. Like, you know, if you're all by yourself, you can sneak all different stuff.
Stop eating the decor.
Yeah, right. So I think that we help each other. But also, since the cakes themselves, because they're whole pieces, we can't, we can't ruin it and take a big chunk out. We sort of have to leave it as it is and work with that. It gets tricky when we trim cakes and we call them reject cupcakes if they're too small or we accidentally mushed it or.
So you can't throw them out.
Right, we can't throw it out. We have to eat it. So
what
it's a
other
little
options do you
tricky.
have?
A lot of times, if we have an excess of sort of the just extra stuff around, little treats and trimmings, we'll send them to the pizza shops around the corner. There's a couple. So we'll say, oh, you guys, we had leftovers and that kind of thing, or we'll bring them to small group or something and kind of share the sweetness. But it's definitely a challenge. I don't think that we feel, I can say for me, but even some of the other people here, it's something that we have to pay attention to every day because it can be really tempting.
They're everywhere.
Yep.
So what advice do you have for people who want to maybe get into this, who want to try their hand at cake decoration, maybe even go somewhere with it, do something more than just a hobby? I mean, how do you learn these skills, and then where do you put them to use? How do you get started with cake decoration or design?
Well, a lot of people I know have started out cake decorating and even just general food preparation and artsy things at home because they have a family and they will make their child's first birthday.
There's
and then
a built-in audience.
Right. And then, of course, the next thing comes along and there's lots of things to celebrate. So I know a lot of people, and really even from my own personal experience growing up, there was always an occasion to celebrate. So why not, experiment and try making something new or something that was a success in the past and we'll make it better this time. I would say a lot of times I'll suggest with cake decorating in particular for people that might be interested or have a little bit of skill already, there are, it's called the Wilton classes that are usually offered at the local craft stores. So like Michael's and Joann's and AC Moore and kind of those places usually have Wilton. It's a certain kind of method. They'll have Wilton instructors, and it's a very inexpensive way to go and have someone that might be more experienced than you are currently teach you some tricks and tips of the trade. And I think I personally participated in several of those kind of along the road, some years ago, and it was beneficial, and I have good memories from that and some fun pictures. And I know with the Wilton courses, they have 4 levels. So there's a pretty broad range of skills. If you're super new and you just want to kind of try it out and see if you like cake decorating, then you could start at the first level. And then if you're already have some experience, you might try a more advanced level. And I know for me personally, I gained a lot of practical hands-on experience and really also, I guess, business sense from working part-time at a local bakery before I had my own. So that was definitely a huge part in getting a better feel for what I wanted to pursue or avoid, and that made a big difference.
Probably having some kind of mentor around to
yes.
kind of show you the trade. And
yeah, that's definitely helpful.
Cool. So what are some things that, if you had the chance, you'd like to try in the future when it comes to decoration? Do you have any dreams for the future? Any design-related goals? Any cakes you'd like to try that you haven't tried before?
Let me see. I'm always coming across a Pinterest photo or a magazine shot that has some technique, or the whole cake looks really pretty and I want to try it. So I usually have a folder going, a physical folder or one on my computer that has, I think I title it New Ideas or Fun Designs. And so sometimes even if a client doesn't really have a preference on what we do, I'll look in that folder and say, oh, that might fit their event. So let's try some of elements off that cake picture. And that's kind of a fun thing to do. Just this week, we've been brainstorming together about my one decorator in particular that has more advanced skills. We've been talking about how to involve gold work on the cakes because that's a current trend in the wedding industry. A lot of people are asking for something themed to their sort of rustic or vintage style wedding, and so gold or even silver tones are really nice to incorporate into that. And so I've been getting a lot of requests for the brides will bring me a photo, and it's very clear from the photos that they want sort of a bright tone of the metallics, and that's something that we don't have a ton of experience with. So this week, my assistant and I have got 3 new styles or techniques that we're going to try. One of them is specifically gold and silver leaf, which is actual 23 karat gold sheets. They're super, super thin. And there's a special way to adhere them onto the actual cake tiers. And something like that offers a really brilliant gold tone so that it stands out from far away and it's very glamorous. So we're excited to try that kind of thing because it's what the people are asking for. And it's definitely worth something for us to look into. And so we're going to do some tests, and depending on how they turn out, we might photograph some things and then be able to offer that to clients that are coming and looking for that specific visual.
Because then once you've done it, you have an idea of how you would do it, and you can kind of show it to people, and it's in your repertoire.
Exactly. So we're always willing to try new techniques that people bring to us. If they're a little bit more advanced, I like to offer for us to do a test of it so that we can be 100% sure that the client will be satisfied and that they won't be disappointed, and that it will fulfill their vision of what they want their cake to look like. Yeah,
that's awesome. So we are actually right here now in the Upper Crust Cakery, and if you want to come visit the Upper Crust Cakery, you can come here. It's 2094 5 Mile Line Road?
Yes, that's correct. Right near Penfield Four Corners. So it's pretty convenient, especially if you're on the east side.
Yeah. So right here in the Rochester area in Penfield, come to the Upper Crust Cakery, and you'll get to see their selection of some pre-prepared things. And then, of course, they can order their own.
Right. We have usually in the case every day for just a walk-in purchase, we have a variety of colossal size cupcakes. You can see a few in the background. And that's a fun way for people that aren't familiar with the quality of our work to taste something or decide between a few flavors. And we have some other things available as well, some cookies and other desserts. And then a lot of times people will stop by to just order a cake in person, and they can look through some of the photos we have or talk to someone, or it helps them to see some visuals, like we have some cake sizes so that they can see in person what it might look like and feel comfortable with that. Or we'll work by phone or email as well, but we love if people come and visit.
Yeah, that's awesome. So where would you recommend if people are in the area or they're maybe even outside the area and they want to learn more, where should they go? Is there like a website they can go to?
Oh, well, our website is currently being worked on. So at the moment, we are using our Facebook page to share about photos and sometimes new products or holiday items that we have. So you can look up Upper Crust Cakery, or you can just go to uppercrustcakery.com and that will redirect you to our Facebook page at this time.
Yeah.
We have a lot of fun blogs that we follow for inspiration online. So we will often go to Bakerella's website. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of her before. Adventures of Sugar Bell, and we'll get ideas and just some inspiration from people in other states about what they're working on, and that's kind of fun to just share in the world of sweetness and sugar and kind of work together to come up with a creative thing. There's also a lot of resources, even just on Amazon. We'll order books that have techniques, or we'll watch YouTube videos here of how to do basic or advanced cake decorating, and it's really cool to see just in person a professional that has more experience than we do, and we can adopt some of the practices that they show.
It's amazing just like how creative a field it is, and how you can go to a Pinterest board and just see the vast expanse of creativity in the art of cake design. And I think it's neat. Some of us do digital work where we just create things on the computer and we deliver them on the computer and that's it. But I think there's something special too about this kind of physical design and physical decorating thing that's there in front of you. There's something very special about that. It's definitely an art. So definitely just scroll down the page where you're watching this. You can find the link to the Upper Crust Cakery Facebook page. Go ahead and like them. Keep up to date on their promotions and all the stuff that's going on. See some photos of the cakes they're making. And also, we'd really like your feedback on the webcast. So tell us what you liked, anything that you think we can improve for the future about this webcast. So just leave a comment right there on the blog entry on natemancini.com, and we'd love to hear from you. And finally, a replay of this webcast is going to be available immediately after we finish. So we'd love if you'd send your friends and family here to watch it, especially anybody who you think might be interested in cake design or decoration, maybe trying their hand out at baking, and they might enjoy this webcast and learning from Julie. So you can just use the social share buttons on the top or bottom of the blog entry. So thanks so much, Julie. I really appreciate you being with us tonight and letting us come to your cakery.
It's my pleasure. I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thanks everyone for watching. Have a great night.